What's up, guys? I'm JJ,
I'm Angel.
and this is PM Football.
I called it. I said Tennessee was going to be Alabama. I was a little wrong. I said it was going to be final play of the game. Turns out it wasn't, but it was still a really close, really good game.
Yeah, it was. I mean, just college football in general. Like,
Yeah.
no one knows anything right now.
No.
Like, Tennessee beats Bama.
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee could go out and lose next week against
Yeah.
a really bad SEC team. I'm not too sure who they play next week, but like, let's say it's Kentucky, for example.
Mm-hmm.
If they go out and lose to Kentucky, would you be shocked?
No, because the SEC is a gauntlet. Like, Alabama looks like a very average SEC team right now.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know if
don't
it's
know,
whether the SEC has just gotten so much better and all the teams are better together, or the top teams are just not as good as they normally
the
are.
thing is, we don't even know who is the top team right now because Georgia beating Texas, like, 5 beats 1. We said consistently Texas was the best team in the nation. They looked like they were the best team in the nation. They go out, lose by 2 possessions to Georgia,
And they look
who
bad.
lost to Alabama.
They like overall, it's just fun. Like,
it is.
To me, college football is getting more of a feel of like an NFL schedule, at least. Like the season as a progressive season, college is becoming more of an important thing week to week.
The
Instead
top
of it just
hitters
being-
aren't like as big of top hitters as it was in
Well,
previous
and I think
years.
it's just more of a like, okay, we can afford a loss. Before it was like, if we lose a game, we're not making the playoff.
Yeah.
But now it's like, all right, we might be able to lose a game. We might be able to lose 2 games,
Yeah.
and we still have a chance. As long as we get to the playoff, that's all that matters.
Yeah, like you said, it's been a lot more fun.
Mhm.
It's been more entertaining. And again, like you said, like you could afford to lose a game and still make the playoffs. So, I mean, who's the favorite now?
I mean, who's won right now? Oregon.
Oregon's won.
Like, that's what I'm saying.
But even like they could end up losing.
That's
the
what I'm
game.
saying. Like, I could see Oregon dropping a game. I don't know who they play the rest of the year, but like, I'm sure they probably play Michigan. No, maybe.
I don't know. They definitely play USC still. I feel like
USC is not as good as anything.
But
we
they
thought
could
would be.
USC
that's what- yeah.
beat LSU.
Yeah.
Like USC could end up beating Oregon.
And
like,
now look at LSU.
exactly.
Yeah.
Like-
Like that's why it's so good now.
Yeah.
Before it was like, all right, LSU loses a game, they're done.
Mm-hmm.
LSU lost their game to USC. Everybody, like, pre-notion to what we were used to as the college football playoff as it is now,
Like, oh, they're pretty much done.
they were done.
Yeah.
They've bounced right back in their top 8 again.
Yeah.
And they're right into the talks of they might even have a chance of going to the SEC championship if
Yeah.
they can continue to win.
It's been crazy this year. I'm all for it, though. I
Yeah.
love it, dude.
No, and it's not even just the SEC.
No.
Like all of the conferences and all of college football right now. The Big Ten is so exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, you could even say like the ACC, maybe not.
ACC's
the ACC.
picking it up a little bit, though.
a little bit.
Clemson starting to put their name in the mix now.
Yeah,
Cade Klubnik looking pretty solid right now.
No,
You don't think so?
Cade Klubnik might be just as bad as DJ Uyunglele.
No, I think he's really been picking it up.
Cade
dude.
Klubnik couldn't hit the ocean if he was standing on the beach.
I disagree. I think.
Did you see him miss some of those passes in that game?
Look, he's still a college student. He's still. I'm not saying he's perfect. I'm not saying he's a Heisman hopeful. I'm not saying any of that. I'm just saying he has progressed to what he used to be, or what he has been to now.
Well, then if he was worse than what he was before, or
I mean,
what he is now,
He was pretty bad.
he's
feel like.
still really bad.
I don't know. I think he's
That run game
progressed.
carries that team, and their defense is really good. Klubnik
defense is good.
is, that's just not a good quarterback. He's so bad. I just think that's an ACC thing. Like Cam Ward's kind of like a outlier, kind of. And I mean,
Yeah.
even
then, he has a lot of flaws.
that like
So,
the ACC in general. I don't know why we're talking about the ACC right now, like as in depth as we are. But like
yeah.
again, this is how exciting college football is
Yeah.
right now. Like,
The fact that we could just talk about all these different teams because they're all in the mix now. We couldn't
Yeah.
talk about that in previous years.
it was like, okay, we got Georgia, Bama. What Big Ten team won this year?
Yeah,
What-
exactly.
And like, it wasn't as fun. Like
Yeah.
you couldn't
It
be
was
like,
still fun, but it wasn't as fun as this.
and you could, as a fan, you were
Mhm.
like, our season's over.
Mhm.
Now you have hope.
Yeah.
And all you need to do is make the playoff, and you can go on a run.
Yeah. All you have to do is get to the dance.
Mhm.
Once you get to the dance,
and I'm not saying it's anything like March Madness, but it
who
has
knows?
a feel.
It's the first year. Who knows? It might.
It could expand even more.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Which I won't be surprised.
Could you imagine if it expanded to like 16 teams?
I won't be surprised if it does that within the next like decade.
Yeah. No, I could definitely see that.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you, and I've talked about this before. I don't know if we've talked about it on here before, but like those 13th and 14th ranked teams are going to be like, well, why didn't we get in?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Over the group of 5 team that made it. It's
Yeah.
like, well, you're telling me we couldn't beat Boise State? And no, the answer is no, you can't beat Boise State.
Because they have
Boise
the
State
future
should
Heisman
have
winner.
beaten the current number 1 team
I
in the
agree.
country right now.
Yep.
That's crazy. Boise
Yeah.
State is a good football team.
They are. They as of now, I think they deserve to be that 12th team in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about those 2 big games already. I mean, Tennessee and Alabama, it was pretty similar to how we thought it would be.
Yeah,
Like-
we knew it was going to be a close game.
Yeah. And I mean, it was kind of a toss-up before the game of who was going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And it turned out Tennessee was the home team, and they took it at home. And then Georgia, Texas, that kind of went a little opposite of what we thought it was going to.
Yeah, for sure.
We both expected Texas to pick up the win there, but they played their first test in an SEC schedule, like a really good test,
Yeah.
and they failed that test pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, and then now we're hearing rumors, just rumors. Don't know if it's true or not. Apparently, Quinn
Allegedly.
Ewers might sit out the rest of the year to prepare for the NFL.
The
Don't
tweet,
know if that's
the
true
tweet
or
was
not.
put out by 24/7 Sports.
Yeah.
They deleted the tweet within minutes of posting it.
Mhm.
You don't just have a graphic made for that if there's not some truth to it.
I agree. So, college football was already crazy. Can end up being even crazier. Can you imagine if Arch just comes in and takes everything by storm?
Well, he didn't. He did. They brought him in,
Yeah.
and he didn't.
Yeah.
Again, it's against the Georgia team.
Yeah.
And like I said, it was their first big test, but like you would kind of hope they do a little bit better on that test.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just all around, Georgia's defense just looks so dominant, man.
And I mean, their offense just needs to do enough so that, and that's the crazy thing. It's like they're still turning the ball over.
Yeah.
Carson Beck is still turning the ball over at a very high rate. Their defense is just bailing them out.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the only other game we were going to talk about this week was Illinois and Michigan, because of a conversation we're leading into this with is, first of all, how has Michigan fallen off this much?
I
after
can't
a year from winning
remember.
a national championship.
I was going to say, I could be wrong, but I can't remember in my lifetime personally a team winning a national championship and then just completely falling off as bad as Michigan has this year.
I'm sure there's been a team that like has won it the previous year and finished unranked,
Yeah.
but Michigan might struggle to get a winning record this year.
It's pretty bad. The offense is just very stale. Like,
They have no quarterback.
it's bad.
They have no quarterback. They have no offense. They have no identity on offense.
There's no identity. I do like that you said that. There is no identity. Whereas last year, it was very clear what the identity was. It was hardball football.
We're going to run the football.
Run the ball, whether you like it or not. We're going to get those yards.
Yeah.
Very good defense as well. This year, I mean, I know I keep saying stale. It just is what it is.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
just a stale team, a very stale offense.
they're just not fun to watch.
No.
They're the opposite of fun.
Yeah.
It's just such a boring team. And I mean, props to Illinois. Like, you knock off Michigan, and you're probably going to be in the top 20. I think they probably are, though, already.
Yeah.
And so the whole reason we wanted to bring up that game was because Dave Portnoy. Dave Portnoy tweeted and said, I will do anything I can and put as much money as possible into Michigan to bring them a quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And we wanted to talk a little bit about, I'll talk a little bit more as my experience with the NIL, and I'm sure you've experienced it a little bit.
Yeah.
Probably not to a certain degree because it was Navy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we'll talk about it. Obviously, we have the thing in common with ODU. ODU does have NIL. You went on to Texas. I went on to Navy. 2 very different programs when it comes to NIL and stuff like that. So I'll let you kind of begin with that.
The whole thing to me with the NIL, I think NIL is a good thing. I'll preface this by saying NIL is a good thing. Mm-hmm. The only thing is there needs to be a stipulation and guidelines to how the NIL is worked. Right now, and it's been like this forever in college football, even before NIL, when they were doing it illegally, and it wasn't NIL. It was, okay, we're going to give you some money here, and
Just
You
to
do
sign
with
your
that.
name.
Do with that what you want.
Yeah.
We didn't give it to you though, and now it's like a public. It's more public.
It's very public now.
And it's like
it's no longer under the table, even though there still are under the table things happening.
Yeah.
At least you could kind of cover it up with the public NIL stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, like, to me, nothing has been fixed. Like, it's still the best teams are getting the best players, and the teams that aren't as good, that don't have good NIL stuff, aren't getting good players. And it's going to continue to be that way if there's no guideline on it.
Mm-hmm.
And so, for example, like a team like Michigan, they went all in last year.
Yeah.
And they were like, we will get all these guys back, make sure none of these guys leave in the portal, and we're going to go on a run. And they did it. They paid their players, and they won the national championship. They kept all the people they wanted. They're in a transitional period now. Those NIL donors aren't going to want to pay those guys that need 2 more years to stay in college football to develop.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to wait to pay those guys.
Because they want to win now.
They want to win now.
Yeah.
But Michigan is still under the assumption that, like, okay, well, we'll just wait 2 more years, and then you guys can pay them. They're not in that mode, though. So, like, Michigan, to me, is just not a team that will continue to build upon that until it's like 2 or 3 years down the line. Mm-hmm. Where there's a team like Alabama where their donors are like, all right, we got the number one. And that's the whole thing about Michigan is they never bring in a top 10 recruiting class. So they don't ever get those big name players other than, like, I think it was Rashawn Gary, like maybe 10 years ago at this point. Like, Michigan is fine with getting those 4 stars and developing those guys.
Mm-hmm. But it's completely changed.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, a team like Alabama, they bring in the top 3 recruiting class every single season. Those donors know who those players are. Mm-hmm. Everybody in the country, fan-wise, knows who those players are.
Yeah.
So they're willing to pay those players. That's not what NIL was made for.
No.
It's still, college football is still politics. And, like, for the people that don't realize it, like, it's all politics in college football.
It's all politics and money. That's all college football is politics.
If your team has money and donors that have money,
mm-hmm.
you're going to be good.
Yeah.
But if you don't, it's not going to do it. You're not going to be good. And so the only way that I think that this gets fixed is if they put a cap limit on how much money can be spent on a roster. Ohio State this year paid $20 million, right?
Mm-hmm. Something like that, like 15 or 20.
$20 million to assemble a roster.
Yeah.
That's insane.
A roster full of 18 to 22-year-olds. Yeah.
There's no reason a team should be able to spend that much money.
No.
When a team like we keep going back to ODU because that's our only example, I doubt that they had $500,000 put into their NIL.
No, they didn't.
So, like you just can't compete. And I'm not saying ODU should be able to compete with an Ohio State, but even just like a Purdue. Yeah. Like if you were to take a Purdue, I'm sure they maybe get $1 million in NIL.
Yeah. And I kind of want to tag along and bring up something else. And I might get hate for this. I don't care. I'm going to say it because I truly believe in it. This is why I say, and I will always say, the NFL is better than college football from a product standpoint and a business standpoint. Because at the end of the day, in the NFL, you are what you are. Like, may everything be fair? Not necessarily, but like everyone has the same opportunity in the NFL. What your GM and head coach decides to do with that, that's on them. But everyone has a fair shot.
Yeah.
Whereas in college football, people within the same conference don't have the exact same fair shot.
Yeah.
Like you can't tell me, like what would be a good example? Like an Arizona State has the same opportunity as a Utah.
Yeah.
Like you can't, like a Purdue doesn't have the same opportunity as an Ohio State.
Yeah.
Like this shouldn't be, and it's not like it's by margins. No, the gaps are huge. It is huge gaps that are separating them.
Yeah.
So like it's like you said, it's all politics. It's all money. It's entertaining, but like when it comes, like it's not a game. It is a game, but it's not a game. Like these are people's lives we are talking about. Like there's millions of dollars in stake. There's people's future at stake. Mm-hmm. And these donors are kind of just like messing around with it, kind of like it's a video game when it's really not.
Because I mean, even when you look at it from a bigger picture, and we're talking about like, okay, cool, the 12-team college football playoff is awesome this year.
It is.
But in previous years when it was only 4 teams, what were those teams outside of those top 4? From 5 to 12. It's all the same teams that are in it right now.
Exactly.
It's all the same.
Yeah.
And as much as like the wins and losses don't matter as much anymore,
the money
still is mattering because it's still the same teams that were there even when it was only 4 teams.
College football really is like the rich get richer, the poor just get poorer.
Yeah.
Because like if you just don't have that like NIL backing you up, and you can have NIL, but you need like a lot of it. You need just an absurd amount of it to even be competitive.
Yeah.
Let alone win something. So
how are you going to even get to that spot if you can't win games because you just get lucky like a Boise State this year. You get an Ashton Genty who's like, I don't care about the money. I just want to play and win.
Yeah. I just care about this school.
You aren't going to get that, though. That's not going to happen. The kids these days are entitled, and they want as much money.
Dude, they're transferring mid-season.
I don't blame them for wanting to get as much money as they can because the NFL is the NFL.
It's a business.
It's the not for long.
It's a business.
The NFL is not for long.
Yeah.
That's what the NFL stands for. So if you're in college and you're a good player, get as much money as you can now.
I see from this standpoint, like, if I'm a superstar football player, and you're coming to me telling me you're willing to pay this, this, and this, you're willing to give me a house, you're willing to take care of my family, why wouldn't I take that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't care who you are, you're taking that. Like, why you'd be dumb not to. So absolutely, I don't blame these kids for wanting to sign somewhere because they're offering more. If you're telling me I could take care of my family better if I just signed this piece of paper and play for your school, why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah, and the whole problem is right now is like, I don't know personally an example, but I've heard stories about like at smaller schools where they don't have like a nationally known NIL sponsor or person.
Yeah.
Like somebody will come to them with an offer and be like, hey, we'll give you X amount of money, but you got to do this to get that money. And they're 18 years old. They don't have an agent yet.
No.
They're like, oh my God, I can get this much money? Yes, please. And they sign the contract, and then 2 or 3 months down the road, they're like, all right, where's this money? And it's like, well, you had to do this, and this.
Well, it's kind of like
we still own your rights now.
Yeah. It's kind of like the UNLV quarterback from earlier this year. Like, I know he wasn't like an 18-year-old kid, but like, and like, I could see both sides. Like, did he quit on his team like early in the season? Yes. Did he go about it kind of the wrong way? Yes. However, if you can't offer that kid that money, why are you offering it to him to begin with? If you told him, I will give you X amount if you play for us and sign with us, and he does it, he needs that X amount. And I know people will be like, oh, I'll get it in writing. That's the thing. You can't get it in writing because that would be illegal. You can't you can't say you're giving a kid money when he isn't on your roster. Yeah, that goes against NIL. So that's not allowed.
You have to be on the roster
exactly
to be able to get NIL.
So for people saying, oh, you have to get in writing, but you can't get it in writing because that would be tampering, that would be illegal, that would go against many rules.
And the team would get in trouble.
Exactly.
And now the team is just going to be like, well, we never had an agreement.
Exactly.
So we don't owe you anything.
Exactly. So there needs to be more regulations.
Going back to the politics.
Yeah, like there needs to be a lot more regulations. There needs to be a lot more rules. They're just, it's out of control, like, really.
We've experienced it working in college football.
Yeah.
College football is kind of a slimy business to a degree.
You really have to put emphasis on the business because that's really what it is. And like, of course, you're going to be like, of course it's a business, but like, until you're in it, you don't truly understand, like, no, it is strictly business.
And it's entertainment.
Yeah.
The big people up top running a college football program, not even just the coaches, the people up top, the athletic directors, they see it as a money-making product.
Yeah.
They view it as.
They have to. That's literally their job, is to maximize the money and put out the best product that they can.
To be able to bring in better players.
Yeah.
Like, that's how they view it.
At least the good ADs do it like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, I mean, we just wanted to talk about the NIL a little bit and give our opinions on it a little bit.
Especially being guys who
have seen
was
it.
with it firsthand from the business side of it.
Yeah, I've seen it a lot more at Texas.
Yeah.
Like,
what are
it's
some
crazy.
things you've seen when it comes to NIL at Texas?
Visits are a lot more different than they are at ODU.
Mhm.
I don't know how much I'm able to talk about any of this, so I'm not going to get too
I was
deep
like,
into it.
only talk about what you know you won't get in trouble for.
I mean, there's videos on Twitter, obviously, of like
Yeah.
the players on visits riding around in Lamborghinis and
Yeah.
Hellcats, and
The
like,
Undertaker just pulling up.
the Undertaker showing up.
Yeah,
I saw him. That was pretty cool.
I bet.
I did the eyes rolled in the back of the head thing. And then he choke slammed me onto the field.
Did you like it?
Yeah, he did tombstone pile driver. He folded my arms and he pinned me.
But you loved it when he pile drove you.
He won the world heavyweight championship off of me.
Nice.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well, yeah, we like you said, we just wanted to talk about NIL a little bit, talk about some college football. Thank you guys for watching this. Again, any kind of questions, comments you have, make sure you comment it below. Follow us on TikTok at PM Football Podcast. Also our Twitter, follow us at PM Football Podcast.
Yep. See you guys.
See ya.